All right, guys, what is up? Happy Saturday. Here to talk about the 5-game NBA slate. Pretty excited for this one. So if you guys are new to the channel, new to the live stream, how it works is we'll review what we know so far. We'll take a look at injuries. We'll take a look at the Vegas odds, and then we'll kind of go team by team, talk about players, and then we can get to questions at the end. Today, at least for NBA, starting just like the regular season has gone so far for me. The showdown slate, we get Harden ruled out about 30 minutes before locks. I'm like, hey, there's a pretty big edge here. I think Harden, there will be some overlay. He was like 20% owned. I kind of like Corey Joseph for value, right? With no Halliburton, he should play high 20s minutes. Picks up 3 fouls in 4 minutes. I played Boogie Cousins to get a little differentiate myself, right? I figure, hey, no Harden, maybe they might run him and Wood together. 3 fouls in 3 minutes. It's just there's nothing more I can say really. Just speechless at my luck every single night. So basically, anyone who I like on this main slate, you should go the opposite. Fade whoever I like because they are either going to get in foul trouble, get injured, or get ejected, basically. So, but yeah, let's review what we know so far here, guys. It's just been just one of the starts this, or the worst luck that I've had to start an NBA season so far. But hoping it can turn around soon for me because man, it has been tilting. All right, so as far as what we know so far, Gallinari ruled out. Terrence Ross will play. Rondo's out. Let's see. Kevin Knox is available to play. Luka, that's for Sunday. We got, let's see. That was for earlier. Let's see. Mike Scott ruled out. That's not big news. Again, Harden, that was in the early game. LeBron, questionable once again, but expect him to play. Evan Fournier is ruled out. They said Michael Carter-Williams is starting for Fournier. So, him and Cole Anthony should play a couple extra minutes here. They're decent value plays. The Knicks, we got their normal starters here with Peyton, Barrett, Bullock, Randall, and Robinson. There's one more healthy body there in Emmanuel quickly, so maybe a 9-man rotation instead of 8-man rotation there for the Knicks. We got the same starting lineup news for the Hornets. Alec Burks is once again ruled out for the Knicks. So again, they should run a pretty tight rotation. And then same starters here for OKC with SGA, Hill, Dort, Baisley, and Horford. And a lot of these Bulls, same Bulls out for Sunday. Hawks starters are Young, Reddish, Hunter, Collins, and Capella. Now, haven't seen any confirmation on Capella and if they're going to limit him. He played 30 minutes last night. It is a back-to-back, so I'm a little worried about it, to be honest. But if we get close to 30 minutes, then Capella is underpriced. All right. So let's go with, or let's take a look at Vegas odds actually really quick. Let me go to NBA. And all right, so Hornets, we have 76ers. It's a 216.5 over under. The 76ers are 10-point favorites. So there is some blowout risks. There's basically 75% of the games are going to blow out, most likely. That's how it's been going so far. And the games you think are going to blow out will stay close. The games you think are going to stay close blow out. That's just how the season's been going, it feels like. There is blowout risk here. Again, 10-point favorites the 76ers are, so proceed with caution, but some upside plays, especially the guy with Embiid if the game stays competitive. The Knicks and the Pacers, another game that there's some risk here, right? It's a 9-point spread. The Pacers are favored by, or 9-point favorites. It's 216 over under. We have Thunder. We have Magic at 217.5 over under. The Magic are 4.5-point favorites. We have Cavs. We have Hawks at 229 over under. The Hawks are 6-point favorites. And Raptors Pelicans is the late night game here. It's a 215.5 over under. The Raptors are 1-point favorites. But just an overview of NBA DFS so far. Since there's been so many blowouts, will that continue? I don't know, but it does make some sense to maybe go more game stacking in GPPs with all the blowouts that have been happening, right? Because if you stack a game and stays close, you're probably going to be in pretty good shape the way the season has been going so far with the crazy, crazy amount of blowouts. But let's start with New York and the Pacers. Before I get into it, though, I will ask if you enjoy this content, guys, to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are at 30 likes. Let's aim for 100 likes on this live stream. That would be greatly appreciated. All right. So the Knicks, what we know, there's no Alec Burks, right? So he's once again out. He was playing big minutes when healthy. We do have one more healthy body here in Emmanuel Quickley. He is active. How many minutes does he play, or is he even in the rotation? I don't know. So, maybe a slight downgrade to a guy like Alfred Payton and a guy like Austin Rivers. But We know in a competitive game, I think Julius Randle pushes for over 40 minutes. He played 38 that last game in a blowout. The previous game was 44. So the reason why Randle is firmly in play here is because he's a guy that stuffs the stat sheet, love playing guys like this, and it's just the minutes, right? Tom Thibodeau is his coach, so he's just going to play his starters huge minutes. Sure, the matchup against the Pacers is not necessarily the best, but the minutes are there for Randle, and it's a tight rotation, so I think he is, even at 9-1, firmly in play. Again, does have a high floor just due to the minutes that he is playing. RJ Barrett, I think, is at 6'5", a fine play. He's getting the shot attempts up. He's not really making them, but 15, 17, 15, and 19 shot attempts. So he's averaging like mid-20s fantasy points. If he can get one of those games where he catches fire and hits some shots, sure, he has upside. So I think he's a fine play. Again, he will play the big minutes as well. I think about 40 in a competitive game. I obviously prefer Randle if you can get to him, but RJ Barrett's a guy that I'm indifferent about in the mid-range. I think, again, if he hits the shots, he can definitely get you some upside, but not a guy I'm super, super excited about. Now, Elfrid Payton, he's a guy I do like playing. It's just a matter of does he get the minutes, right? So 18, then 29, then 36, then 23. So what are we going to get from Elfrid Payton? My worry is Austin Rivers is healthy, plus Emmanuel Quickley is available to play. That's two healthy point guards behind Elfrid Payton. So I feel like he has the chance to get limited a good amount. So it just proceed with caution here, right? If I knew Elfrid Payton was going to play over 30 minutes, I would actually have a lot of interest in him at 6-1. But the minutes are all over the place, so just a situation where it's more suited for GPPs. Mitchell Robinson at 5'4", he's been doing a decent job staying out of foul trouble. Should play, about 30 minutes. I think he's a decent play at this price. But again, is a guy that is historically in foul trouble. Reggie Bullock at 4'4", with there being very little value, I think he's firmly in play just due to the minutes, right? So 41 and 38 minutes he's played in back-to-back games. Will he play those minutes again? I'm not convinced. Because we have Emmanuel Quickley healthy, maybe the minutes go down slightly, but I still think we probably get at least over 30 minutes from Reggie Bullock. So yeah, he's a guy that is not a super high usage guy, but with there being so little value, I think he's someone firmly in play there at his price point. And then, Kevin Knox off the bench, his minutes have been a little bit up and down, 26 and 16, then 32. If you can get lucky and guess right in the minutes and he pushes for over 30, I think he definitely has a chance to get value. But another situation like Elfrid Payton, I'm just a little uneasy on the minutes. So there's some risk. If he gets extended, I think he can definitely get you there. Austin Rivers is firmly in play just because there's no value. So he played 21 minutes that last game. I'd expect about 20 or so this game. I think he's in play. Again, not super excited about it. Then quickly, I'm not sure if he's for sure going to be in the rotation, so I'm probably not going to go there. But really, again, the Knicks are shorthanded. The matchup is not necessarily the best, but there's definitely some plays here because the minutes alone, right? We have Randle and Barrett at the top. We have Reggie Bullock just because, again, minutes. And then, a couple of these bench guys are in play. Oh, Nerlens Noel, too, I do want to mention. He's a good point per minute guy. We have yet to really seen the Mitchell Robinson foul trouble. I think if it happens, right, if we get the 2 fouls in 3 minutes from Mitchell Robinson, Noel could have a smash day at his price. It's again, you just need the foul trouble from Mitchell Robinson. So I actually am intrigued with Noel and GPPs. Don't think a ton of people play him. I think he does have upside if we do get some things going our way. All right, let's talk about the Pacers now. So obviously I really like Sabonis at 9-4. Same thing I'll say about Embiid, though. There's some blowout risk in this one, right? A 9-point spread with Philly, it's a 10-point spread. So just proceed with caution a little bit. The minutes have been fantastic for him in close games. 41, 37, and 37 minutes. He's stuffing the stat sheet. Again, love the matchup for him. So as long as we get no foul trouble or no blowout, he should push for high 30s minutes, which is really, really nice in a good matchup. So I do like Sabonis a lot here at 9-4. I think you can definitely play him and Randle together if you want to do that, right? Both should play huge minutes. So both those guys I do like a good amount. Malcolm Brogdon I think is a very safe play. He's playing 36, 35, 37 minutes the last 3 games. He has a pretty high floor. He's getting the assists. I think he's a nice cash game play at that price. I don't mind Oladipo either. He's been a lot better recently. He's played 34 minutes in back-to-back games. There's no TJ Warren, so he's probably going to have to do a little bit more offensively. I think he's definitely in play in the mid-range. Do like his upside. Miles Turner at 6'4" is fine, but again, not a priority for me. As far as the value guys, no TJ Warren. Well, it's going to be a combination of McDermott and the Holiday Bros. Does one really stand out? I don't know. McDermott did have almost 30 fantasy points, but he's pretty reliant in scoring. Justin Holiday played like 23 minutes. Again, he's an okay point per minute guy, and Aaron Holiday started and played 22 minutes. So it's like, yeah, you can play one of these guys, but they all kind of just hurt each other's value. So if you landed one, fine, but there's not one that stands out to me, in my opinion. And that's about it for me for the Pacers. So let's move on to OKC and Orlando. On the OKC side, I think SGA is an intriguing GPP play. Had a bad game the last game when he was somewhat popular there against New Orleans, but previous 3 games, basically over 40 fantasy points. Again, the offense is running through him. He's playing mid-30s minutes. He's stuffing the stat sheet. I think he's firmly in play, more of a GPP play because matchup, not necessarily the best, but I think he is viable. I do have interest in Horford and Bazley. Bazley's going to play a little bit more minutes. He should play over 30 in competitive game. Did have a down, back-to-back not so good shooting games, but I still think this guy is talented and could definitely help this Thunder team. So I have interest in him in the mid-range. Also, I think Al Horford's a decent play. He was on pace to have a nice game the last game, but again, it blew out. So Horford, Bazley, I think are pretty nice plays in the mid-range. And with there not being a ton of value on the slate, again, I kind of lean more towards the balance approach. Dort at 5-1 seems about right. Same with George Hill, right? He's just playing not enough minutes, like mid-20s minutes. He can still get there, but he's just a little riskier just because there's no real upside with the minutes for him. And guys on the bench like Diallo, Roby, Muscala, you can give a look to those 3. You know, Diallo probably plays about 20, Muscala like 15, Roby like, 15 to 20. With there being so little value, I just got to mention these guys. Do I really feel good about any of them? No, but I think if you can take a shot on one of them. Let's move on to Orlando. So Orlando, again, the big news is no Evan Fournier. So let's first talk about the guys at the top. Vucevic, I like a good amount. It's just, you got to make some tough calls at the top. You have Vooch, you have Embiid, you have Andre Drummond. I like all 3. You can probably get to 2 of those 3 if you want to, but you got to make tough call. I do like the matchup for him. He should play over 30 minutes in competitive games. So Vucevic firmly in play at 8-7. Again, him, Sabonis, Drummond, Embiid. Got to make a tough call there. Markelle Fultz at 6.2K. I think he's just a safe option. In the games that have been competitive, about 30 minutes and about 30 fantasy points. So I think he's like a good cash game play. Maybe not as a ton of upside in GPPs, but yeah, I think he's a fine play there in the mid-range. Aaron Gordon, so the minutes have not been great on him. That last game was a blowout. What are we going to get minutes-wise from him? If I knew he was going to push for over 30, I think he would make for a pretty nice play at this price, but it just been a little up and down, so more suited for GPPs, but I do like the price on him if we do get the minutes. I think he's an interesting GPP play. Again, no Evan Fournier. Like Terrence Ross might play a couple extra minutes. My issue with Terrence Ross is he's one of the guys I rarely play just because he doesn't do anything besides score the ball. So on nights when he is not shooting well, the floor is literally single digits for him. So that is my only concern with a guy like Terrence Ross. If he is hitting his shots, he has upside. But again, super reliant on the scoring. Now, with there being so little value, I have mentioned guys like Cole Anthony and MCW. MCW starting, I expect, mid-20s minutes. He's a guy that can get, rebounds, assists. Not a super high usage guy, but firmly in play for value. Same with Cole Anthony. I think does play a little bit more off the bench. Both these guys, I think, are in play because there's not a lot of value on this slate. Bacon, you can do it, but very reliant on the scoring too. With Terrence Ross back, I think those minutes go down. So not as excited about it, but he is 3.4K. All right, let's move on to Charlotte and Philly. So Charlotte's a team that I just seem to have not been able to get right so far this season. The top 3 guys, Hayward, Rozier, Graham, they've kind of been struggling recently. It's actually been like LaMelo Ball and Bridges that have stepped up off the bench. This is not the best matchup. So these guys for me are all secondary plays. I think probably at least one of these guys has a really good game, but just hard to nail. It's hard for me to try to figure out which one's going to be. That's my issue with these guys, right? The prices are decent. Devontae Graham, Rozier have been shooting the ball absolutely terrible. Graham has literally been shooting like 20% so far from the field this season. A big game's got to be here. He's got to have turned it around soon. Again, with Bridges, that's a little pricey. LaMelo Ball, you can make the argument for. He's got extended a little bit because of the blowouts. I think in a competitive game, he probably only plays like 20-ish, maybe 25 minutes. I think ownership might be up on him after people will box score watch. So a little hesitant with LaMelo Ball, but if those guards continue to struggle like Rozier and Devontae Graham, they're going to go to Ball off the bench. It's just, right? You kind of need those starting guards to struggle. So I don't have a good feeling about any of these Charlotte guys. Now with PJ Washington, he'll play some backup 5, but I don't want to play him against Joel Embiid. He has been dealing with some foul trouble. this is I really do not like targeting bigs against Joel Embiid for that reason. And PJ Washington has already been struggling with foul issues. So if I knew he was going to stay out of foul trouble, I would like him at this price, but I am just worried about it. And same thing with Bismack Biyombo, right? I'm just worried about the foul trouble for both these bigs. Biyombo had a nice game last time, a double-double. I don't expect that against Embiid, so there's no one I feel good about for the Hornets. If you land on one of these guys, fine. Again, I'm not like saying they're out of play, but I don't know if one guy stands out here for Charlotte. So that's my take on the Hornets. On the Philly side, I do like Embiid a good amount at 10K. I think the matchup here is fantastic. He should be able to smash, should play 35 minutes if the game stays close. Again, that is a big if, right? 10-point spreads. That's something you got to consider when making your lineups. There is risk here with the blowout. But Embiid, I think, has 60-plus fantasy point upside if the Hornets can keep this close. So I do like his upside a lot if you can get to him. Ben Simmons at 9K, has been decent. He's more of a secondary play for me. I do like the matchup, but if I'm going to play one of these 76ers, I would rather have Embiid. Tobias, again, is fine. Somewhat reliant on scoring. He's had some decent games recently. I think he's a decent option. Again, not a priority for me. As far as the guards, I think Seth Curry is probably the guy I look to in the mid-range. He should get about 30 minutes. Again, a little reliant on scoring, but he's been decent in the competitive games. So I think he is someone that you can look to at that price. As far as bench guys, a couple guys I'll mention, like Dwight Howard's going to back up Embiid, should play 10 to 15 minutes. Again, there's very, very little value, so I got to mention that. I'll mention Danny Green too. I do not like playing him. Very reliant in the scoring, such a low floor, but he's a guy that can get you a couple blocks, a couple steals, and if he hits his threes, right, he has upside for like mid-20s fancy points, so sure, right, Danny Green, you can give a look to him, but that's about it for Philly. So let me refresh Fantasy Lab, see if we miss any news, and then we can continue on. Coach Pierce said there aren't any particular minutes limits for Hawks players. See that, I just hate quotes like this. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't know if Capella plays 30 minutes again, but it just, man, can we just get some sort of clarity on that? It's just, I hate quotes like that. Siakam will play, and then again we got the starters there for the Hawks. So we'll get to Atlanta here in a sec. Let's first start with Cleveland. So what I like about this Cleveland team is they are running a really tight rotation. Basically an 8-man rotation with all these injuries. Drummond at the top. Love his upside if, and this is a big if he can stay out of foul trouble. He is a guy, I never have a good feeling playing Drummond. Always an uneasy feeling in my stomach because it's either he gets in foul trouble right away and completely ruins your night, or if you fade him, he will absolutely smash and go for 60 plus. So it's I feel like it's one or the other. It's either Drummond gets in foul trouble and completely busts your night, or he stays out of foul trouble and absolutely crushes. So it's an uneasy feeling. I do like him if he can stay out of foul trouble. The 3 games that he has stayed out of foul trouble, 59, 57, and 64 fantasy points. That game against the Pacers, only 25 minutes because of foul trouble, 37 fantasy points. So there is risk with the foul issues with Drummond. If he can stay out of foul trouble, I think he can smash that price. The guards I like Sexton and Darius Garland are both playing huge minutes. 41 and 37 for Sexton. Garland playing 37 and 38. Now, Colin Sexton for a point guard is actually a little scoring dependent, right? Not doing a lot of assists and rebounding. So I think he's firmly in play. Like the matchup for him, I think I slightly give the edge to Garland just because he's a guy that's doing more assists, right? I just want those guys with higher floors that when they're not scoring the ball well, they at least can get me some fancy points. And when they have a decent shooting night, like he did here against Detroit, 50 fancy points. So I like both Cleveland guards. I think both in play because of the minutes. I think Larry Nance is a safe option too. Doesn't have a ton of upside playing alongside Drummond, but if we get some foul trouble from Drummond, that's where you could see Nance step up. Right now, it was a couple sites ago, I tried to fade a chalky Drummond and go Nance. I was hoping for the foul trouble. It didn't work out for me. Drummond stayed out of foul trouble and crushed, but I think you can make the argument to pivot to Nance and kind of hope for Drummond foul trouble because I think Drummond will be somewhat popular tonight. Other options, so we haven't got a Cleveland starting lineup news yet. Exum started that last game. If he starts again, I think he's a viable punt. He started to play 28 minutes, only got 14 fantasy points, but again, there's not a ton of value, so he would be potential someone we could look to. I think McGee's in play too, especially if Drummond gets in some foul trouble. That last game, I played him on the early slate. I faded Drummond, and he literally missed like 5 or 6 straight tip-ins, had like 9 rebounds in like 2 minutes. And then Drummond gets in some foul trouble. And then I'm like, oh yes, McGee's going to smash. And then McGee gets in foul trouble. And like he could not keep his hands to himself. So like he could have played 20 plus minutes in that game if he himself could have stayed out of foul trouble, but he couldn't. So that was super tilting. Still finished with 24 fantasy points, but he had a ton of upside if he could have stayed out of foul trouble. He's a good point per minute guy. He's been getting 20 plus in the last 3 games. I think he's someone we can for sure look to for value there. And yeah, Osman at 4.6 has not been shooting the ball well. I think he plays somewhere between 20 to 30 minutes. Again, potential value here, but don't feel amazing about it. And that's it. So let's move on to Atlanta. Trae Young at the top. Obviously, I have interest in. It's just a matter of, do you feel comfortable with enough of the value on the slate to get him in? I think he has a good amount of upside in a good matchup. John Collins at 7.5 with Capella playing. I think more of a secondary play, does still have some upside, but when Capella is playing more minutes, it does hurt his upside a little bit. So I think he's still fine, but not a priority for me. Like the 3 wings here with like Bogdan, Hunter, and Reddish, I think all 3 are firmly in play. So there's no Gallinari, there's no Rondo. All 3 of these wings, and Bogdan, Hunter, Reddish, should push for about 30 minutes. Now, they're like secondary plays on this team, but there's not a ton, again, of value. So like I think if you're looking to the mid-range, maybe look to get to one of these guys, one of these wings, right? All should play about 30 minutes. It's a good spot. So like Bogdan, Hunter, Reddish, all 3 look pretty decent. Now Capella, this is the big question mark, right? What are the minutes going to be? They limited him to 20 in the first 2. He played 30 last night, but it is a back-to-back. So just a little uneasy here. Cleveland is a big team. So I think they will give him close to 30 minutes again, but I'm not fully convinced on that. So another situation you can proceed with caution a little bit. I guess the thing is, if things go wrong and he only plays like 22 minutes, I think he can still get like 25 fantasy points. So I don't think he will kill you if the minutes are limited. If he gets close to 30, then I think he has a good amount of upside, right? So it's just guessing right in the minutes here for Capella. And then, yeah, Herter is fine at 4.5. I think I would rather get to those other wings I mentioned. But, yeah, viable value play off the bench. I mean, you can punt with Solomon Hill at 3.2. Probably gets about 20 minutes. There's not a ton of value. So, yeah, he's in play. But that's really it for the Atlanta side. Let's finish up with Toronto, New Orleans. So, Toronto, Siakam, Lowry, Van Fleet, all 3 in play because they play huge minutes, right? 35 plus for all 3 of these guys in close games. I think all 3 look pretty decent. Does one really stand out more than the other? No, but I think all 3 look like safer options. This is, a 1.5 point spread. This game should stay close. 1 point spread, right? So all 3 of the main Toronto guys I like at the top. I think OG's fine at 5.8. Again, playing big minutes, but not a super high upside guy. Now, Boucher's the guy I like in GPPs, if you can guess right in the minutes here. I don't know what his role is yet with this team. Does he, he's played 15, then 28, then 5, then 24. That 24 was with no Siakam, so I think he probably plays about 15 at least. Upside of like 20 to 25. If he plays closer to the 20 to 25 minute mark, he could smash his price. He's a great point per minute guy. When he played 28 minutes, he had 53 fantasy points. So Boucher is someone I like a good amount in GPPs, but again, a little uneasy here in the minutes. And then, Baines probably gets about 20 to 25 minutes. You can punt with him. Not a great play, but I don't think he's, out of play. And that's it for Toronto. Let's finish up in New Orleans. So Ingram, Zion, both in play at the top. Both should play 35-plus minutes in a competitive game. Ingram completely tilted my lineup on New Year's Eve, was on pace to, win some big money. And, of course, he gets ejected. But, yeah, him, Zion, the minutes going to be there for them. It's not really the best spot, but I think they're safer options, again, because of the minutes. So I think they're both decent options there at the top. Don't mind Lonzo and Bledsoe. Lonzo's been a little bit more consistent recently. They should play about 30 minutes, both the guards. A little bit, Lonzo played 32 the last game. He's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet, but we've just seen some floor games from Lonzo too. So it's I probably would prefer him to Bledsoe. But both guys are decent plays in the mid-range. And Steven Adams is the perfect cash game play. He'll play about 30 minutes, and he'll get 25 to 35 fantasy points. So price is slowly ticking up on him, but I still think he's viable in cash. And then Josh Hart off the bench, I think looks decent. Probably gets about 30 minutes. He's been rebounding the ball decent. I think with there being lack of value on the slate, you can consider a guy like Josh Hart. Maybe you can throw JJ Redick in the player pool. He has shot the ball absolutely terrible. 1 of 7, 1 of 8, 1 of 5. But if he is hitting his shots, I think they do extend him a bit. He's 3-5. There's not a ton of value. So floor is so low on him, right? 5, 4, and 7 fantasy points the last 3 games. But the first game, that's where the upside is, right? If he's hitting his shots, he can go for 25 to 30. So sure, throw him in the player pool. NAW, love NAW, but he's got extended a bit because of the blowouts. I don't know if he plays enough minutes in a regular game for me to consider him, so more of a contrarian play there for me. And that's really it for New Orleans. So let's get to some questions, guys. Let's see. We are at almost 600 concurrent viewers, 86 likes. Can we get to over 100 before I get out here? I would really, really appreciate that. Zion or Ingram? That's always a tough one for me. It's basic coin flip. I think Ingram has a little bit more upside when he's playing well. Zion may be a slightly higher floor, but yeah, I don't have a super strong take there. I'm going with Boucher. Yeah, if you can guess right in Boucher's minutes and he gets extended, I think you could crush. Can you play Exum? Yes, you can because Exum's so cheap. So yeah, you can play them both together. Fred VanVleet, yeah, I think VanVleet. I like all 3 of the main Toronto guys. Yeah, Ingram crushes last time you played them. Yeah, I think, again, Ingram has a good amount of upside. Minutes are safe for him, right? Oladipo or Sexton? That's a good question. I think I'll go Oladipo, but that is close. VanVleet and Fultz or Sexton and Oladipo. I think I'll go with the first option there. JJ, take a break from the pod and get back to shooting. Yeah, exactly. Which game is the highest over under? I think it's the Cleveland game, I believe. Yeah, Cleveland Atlanta is 229. Sabonis or Drummond? Why not both? I think Sabonis is slightly safer because Drummond is just a guy that, again, I'm always uneasy with the foul trouble concerns. I think Drummond might have a little bit more upside if he can stay out of foul trouble. So if we're going for the upside, Drummond, I think a safer option is Sabonis, though. My bad, I missed it. Thoughts on MCW? Him, Cole Anthony are decent value plays with no Fournier. I expect mid-20s minutes for them both. There's not a lot of value, so they're firmly in play. Let's see, forward under 4,900. Let's see, 4,900 and forward. I think I would go. Well, if you're shooting for the upside, I think you take a shot in Boucher and hope he gets extended. But the minutes are just uneasy on him. If you're going for a safer option, I think it's Bullock because of the minutes or Josh Hart. So that's what I would do. Austin Rivers or Aaron Holiday? Don't feel great about either. I guess Holiday. MCW and Brogdon or Miles Turner and Reddish and Cash? I think the first one. Maldi and Punt, not for me. Austin Rivers or Aaron Holiday? Yeah, I guess Holiday, but don't feel amazing about either. I'm playing it safer tonight. Yeah, what about Roby? I think he's a viable punt play. Probably gets about 15 or so minutes. Again, in play because there's not a lot of value. Capella and Tobias or Zion and Boucher. So I think for the upside, it's the second one. Again, if things go right and Boucher gets over 20 minutes, I think he could really have a nice day. But I think there's still a chance Boucher maybe only plays 10 minutes. So safer option is definitely the first one, Ethan. Drummond and MCW or Vucevic and Anthony. I'll go with the first option. Close, but yeah, I'll go the first. Pelicans first and 3-point shots allowed. Give me VanVleet. Yeah, VanVleet, all of the Toronto guys in the top look pretty good, in my opinion. Let's see, balance or stars and scrubs. I think balance is a little bit safer because there's just not a lot of value. Steven Adams or Capella. Capella for the price. Austin Rivers. You can play Austin Rivers. Again, can I play Ross and Cole Anthony? You can play them both together. And Ross is very reliant on the scoring, though. Birch or McDermott? I guess McDermott there. Also, again, has a somewhat low floor, though, because of the scoring. What do you think about ownership in Embiid will be? I don't know if he's going to be super high owned just because of lack of value. Can anyone tell me why Tobias is super popular today? Is he going to be super popular? I think he's a fine play at 7-3, but does have a somewhat low floor if he's not hitting his shots. Nance or OG? Nance for me. Would you play two Atlanta the wings? I think you can do it. Chris. Brogdon or Lowry? I think upside might be a little higher on Lowry, so I'll go Lowry. Garland or Lonzo? Garland for me. Why is Tobias? I don't know. I think Tobias is a fine play. If he's going to be super, super chalky, though, I'm fine getting elsewhere, going elsewhere. Sabonis, Siakam, Embiid, and MCW for the core. I think that looks perfectly fine. Sabonis or Drummond? Again, Drummond for the upside. Sabonis slightly safer. Siakam or Ingram for GPP? I'll go Ingram. Hunter or Ross? Hunter for me. Adams or Horford? I'll go Horford. Not sure if I can fade Drummond. Yeah, it's either Drummond gets into early foul trouble and tilts us all, or he smashes. One or the other. There's like no in between. Will Vooch have low ownership? I don't think Vooch is going to be that popular. Like him for GPPs. I think Drummond will be more popular. I think Vooch is a nice pivot off Drummond. 4.1K utility. I think it's MCW for me. I think he's at 4-1. Yep, I would go MCW there. Is Sabonis a lock? Not necessarily a lock because there's blowout risk, right? But I think if he stays out of foul trouble and plays and the game stays competitive, he'll probably get you there. Sabonis or Vooch? Again, that's a tough one. I'll go Sabonis, but it's really, really close. Pick 2, Ross, Dort, Hunter, and Reddish. I'll go Hunter and Reddish there. So me playing Corey Joseph and Holmes or Sterling Brown and Bagley is going to cost me a takedown. Yep. Because, again, whoever I play automatically gets into foul trouble, right? 3 fouls in 3 minutes for a guard, Corey Joseph. Also 3 fouls in 3 minutes for Boogie. It's just insane. Just insane, man. Cole Anthony or George Hill? I'll go Cole Anthony. That is a close one, but I'll go Cole Anthony. Any Steven Adams, a safe play. Don't think he has a ton of upside. Embiid a lock and cash, not a lock. There's other good plays at the top. Brogdon or Lowry? Again, Lowry for the upside, Brogdon for the safety. Roby or Aaron Holiday? I'd rather have Aaron Holiday there. Thoughts on Tobias? Fine play. If he's going to be chalky, I'll look elsewhere. Thoughts on Danny Green? In play for value because there's no standout value plays. Very reliant on the scoring, but with Danny Green, he can get you some blocks and steals, and if he hits his threes, again, playable. Siakam or Ingram? I'll go Ingram there again. Bledsoe or Curry? Bledsoe for me. Tobias, I mean, again, he's fine. He's fine. Green limited to 15 minutes, Kerr said. Wait, is that for tomorrow? Garland or Lonzo? Garland for me. Lonzo or Fultz? GPP, I'll go Lonzo. I think he has a little bit more upside if things go right. Fultz is probably a little safer. Tobias trending up. Again, Tobias is fine. Not a priority for me. Can you play Drummond and McGee? There's negative correlation. They're not really going to play alongside together, I don't think. But McGee's a good point per a guy, and he can get you there in 15 minutes. So, yeah, you can do it. MCW or XM. For me, it's MCW. Bacon or Solomon Hill? Oh, that's gross. I guess Solomon Hill. Don't really want to play either, though. What about Herter? Herter's fine. Probably would rather have Reddish or Hunter, though. Top cheap pick under 4K. Let's see. Under 4K. So we're still waiting on the Cleveland starting lineup news. I would say Exum if he starts. If not, you can punt with a guy like Knox and hope he gets the minutes. But there's just no one in this range that I feel good about. There's not. So, Embiid or Young? Embiid for me. Randall or Vooch? I'll go Vooch there. That's close. Biyombo, fine play. Worried about the foul trouble. What about Herter? Again, he's fine. Sabonis or Randall? Sabonis. Close, though. Drummond or Embiid? I'll take Drummond for the discount, but like both are upside a lot. Roby or Bacon? Oh, man. I don't want to play either. How many minutes did Roby play last game? He played 18, right? I guess Roby. I mean, in those situations, I would rather go to the big, who I think has a slightly higher floor. Play Bacon, you're getting cooked. Yeah, I don't want to play Bacon. Josh Hart for cash. I think Josh Hart's a fine cash play. Yeah, you can play Austin Rivers. I think about 20 minutes. Bullock or Hart? That's close. I'll go Bullock because I think he plays some more minutes. But yeah, LaMelo's fine. Hornets, there's a team it's hard to predict. Baisley for cash. Yeah, I think Baisley's a fine cash play. Hunter or Reddish? I'll go Hunter if he made me pick. Drummond, Biyombo, or Larry Nance, Hayward? I will go with the first option. Tobias has been playing well, though. Yeah, he has. Again, I'm fine with Tobias Harris. I don't think he's a terrible play. If he's going to be really, really popular, though, I'm fine getting off the ownership. Mitchell Robinson. Yeah, Mitchell Robinson's a decent play at 5'4". I think, he's an interesting pivot off of Capella. I'd probably give that to Capella, but both guys, should get some decent run. Let's see. Top mid guy in 6,000. I would say Darius Garland, I think. Garland, Sexton together in cash. You can do it because they're just going to play the big minutes. Yeah, you can do it, I think. Guard 6,600 and under. All right, a couple more questions here, guys, and then I'm going to get out of here. 6,600 or under. So, again, I do like Garland. If you want to spend a little more of your money, I think, Lonzo or RJ Barrett. Bullock or Reddish? Reddish, but that's close. Baisley or Hunter? Also pretty close for me. I'll go Baisley, but that is really close. How do you feel about John Collins? I think he's a decent option. It's been struggling with some foul issues. His floor is not as high playing with Capella. LaMelo and Drummond or Vooch and Fultz? Second option for cash, first one for GPP. You like Barrett or Horford? I think Horford's, they're both pretty safe. Barrett because the minutes, Horford because has a pretty high floor playing center. So, yeah, I think they're decent options. Zion or Van Fleet, that's a close one. I'll go Van Fleet, but that is close. Bledsoe or Lou Dort, I'd rather have Bledsoe. Terrence Ross, fine GBP play, but again, reliant on the scoring. Bullock or Cole Anthony, that's a tough one. Bullock is going to play probably 30-plus minutes. Cole Anthony, mid-20s. I'll go Cole Anthony there, but that's hard. Fultz or Oladipo? I think Oladipo for the upside. Ingram bounce back spot? Yeah, I think Ingram has I like the upside the most on him. Bullock or Herter? I think Bullock because the minutes. Oladipo. Let's see. Aaron Holiday for value, fine. The Holiday brothers and McDermott, though, are kind of going to hurt each other's value. Why not Bacon? He's the starter. Should probably only play about 20 minutes. Very reliant on the scoring. And Terrence Ross is back, so you can go there, but the floor is super, super low. I'm playing Randall and Sabonis. Yeah, I think you can definitely do that together. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Good luck tonight. Let's pray for no injuries, no foul trouble, and no ejections, please, and no blowouts. Most importantly, no blowouts. So good luck tonight. I appreciate you guys coming to check out the stream. Really do. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. Big day tomorrow for NFL and NBA. Good luck again, and I will see you guys tomorrow.